From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. You know spring is here when the sound of lawnmowers fills your neighborhood. But some folks think that sound is a problem. There's been a trend in yard care called No Mow May, as in don't mow your lawn until June. It started a few years ago in the UK, and the idea is to protect pollinators like bees and butterflies by letting dandelions and clover grow for a while before cutting them back. But is No Mow May a good idea in Colorado and the Front Range? For answers, we reached out to Allison O'Connor for advice. She's a horticulture professor with Colorado State University Extension, and she's an expert in yards, gardens, and the creatures that live among our plants. Today, we're listening back to my conversation with Allison, which we recorded last spring. So I have to start by saying I had never heard of No Mow May until maybe a couple weeks ago. Where did this concept come from?
It's really interesting. It hasn't been around for a long time, only just a few years, and it actually originated in the UK in 2019. Then it kind of merged across the ocean over into the United States, where it was adopted by a small community in Wisconsin in the Midwest.
In the Midwest. Okay, that's interesting. So, this seems like a great idea. You help pollinators by letting clover grow, flowering plants, linger a little bit longer. And I also say this seems like a great idea as someone who is not all that excited about any kind of yard work, including mowing. But Allison, what does the science say about No Mow May?
Well, it is interesting because in theory, it seems phenomenal, right? You are maybe saving yourself some work, you're promoting pollinators, you're doing all these great things for the environment, but the science just doesn't back it up. At the university level, we really tried to teach research-based information, and the research isn't there. There haven't been any studies that have proven that No Mow May is effective in supporting pollinator health.
So can we talk then about why this is not a good thing, especially here in Colorado?
Yeah, and that's really the reason it's not great. And that's why I wouldn't suggest doing it with your lawn in Colorado. If you compare Colorado to the Midwest or even to the UK, where there is more precipitation, different climate, different weeds. That's really the thing. Our flowering weeds in the spring, we really don't have a lot of them. We have a few dandelions, we might have some clover, but we just don't have a lot of food that can support pollinators in our lawns. So it doesn't necessarily make sense. From a plant health perspective, in terms of the lawn, if you let the lawn grow really, really tall and then essentially whack it back, you are going to kill turf roots. And then when we have drought in the summer or hot, dry days, which is inevitably going to happen, the lawn just can't compete, and it tends to get really stressed out. So really, you're introducing your lawn to a stressful situation, and it goes from being a lawn where maybe kids and pets can play, and then you're kind of maintaining it in a really different manner. So you kind of need to make that decision. Do you want a lawn or do you want something else? And if it's something else, what you currently have may not be the best solution, and it may not also support pollinator health.
Okay. Well, and just on the topic of letting the grass grow along and cutting it, I know when I do that, it just looks really pale and unhealthy, and I feel really guilty.
Yes. And so with lawn care, and I know people love to mow their lawn. I'm on the camp of loving to mow my lawn, but some people don't love that.
Right.
But really in the spring, especially with our cool season turf, our bluegrass, they're going to grow a little bit more quickly. And the rule of thumb, which has been proven by science, is to remove no more than 1/3 of the total height of the plant. So going back to what you've noticed, Erin, when you maybe miss a mowing or two and then you kind of cut it a little too short and it doesn't look great, doing it more on a regular basis actually keeps the lawn healthier. You're building a better turf system, which in turn can suppress weeds if that's your goal. Now, weeds are simply a plant out of place. And if dandelions are something that you enjoy, absolutely, you can encourage them. But also in Colorado with dandelions, a lot of them are done blooming by early May. So then if you're waiting to mow until June, you're still not supporting that population of weeds that might provide some nectar for pollinators.
Well, Allison, a lot of us feel strongly about creating good habitat for butterflies and hummingbirds and bees. If we're not going to do No Mow May here in Colorado, is there something better we can do in the yard to help support pollinators?
Absolutely. So, one thing you can do is maybe delay some of the cleanup in your landscape beds. So, a lot of our pollinators are solitary and they overwinter in some of our mulch areas or in plant materials. So, you can delay cleanup, saving you time, and wait a little bit longer until some of those plants are starting to push new growth.
Okay.
The other thing is you can actually plant a lot of spring blooming plants. So think about bulbs, crocus, tulips, hyacinth. All of those are going to attract pollinators, as well as some shrubs like sand cherry. We obviously have trees that are flowering like crab apples and red buds. And so maybe think beyond the lawn into what you can plant in your landscape to support pollinator health.
I like the sound of that. A little less work, and you get the blooms.
Yes.
So I think it's worth mentioning that not everyone even thinks we should have grass lawns in Colorado. I'm wondering what you say to those folks.
You really need to look at your lifestyle and what you're using your landscape for. If you have kids, if you have big dogs and they need a place to play, having a lawn makes sense. We don't want to be lawn shamers. Lawns do serve a purpose. They have a lot of great environmental benefits. They obviously provide recreation. They help with stormwater runoff. They do a lot of great things. But if you are a person that may not use your lawn or wants to change it to something else, then absolutely you can make those changes for you. But make those based on your own decisions, but not maybe for the populations as a whole.
Okay. Well, last question here. Because I have a sense here that the popularity of No Mow May maybe comes down to its catchy slogan. So I think you need a good catchphrase to encourage people to mow. What do you have for us? What's your best alternative slogan?
How about promo May?
I love it.
And, I'm a lawn geek. I probably am, but there is something about smelling fresh cut grass, having green sneakers because, the chlorophyll is rubbing off. There is something a little bit nostalgic about mowing the lawn. But again, personal preference, and you don't have to be a lawn geek, but at least understand the science as to why not mowing your lawn maybe isn't the best recommendation.
Allison O'Connor is a horticulture expert with Colorado State University Extension. I spoke with her last spring. You can read more about No Mow May and what local gardening experts recommend for our region in the show notes and at KUNC.org. And if you have a question about gardening, tree planting, or some other yard project, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at noco@kunc.org, and you can help inform our future conversations with the folks at CSU Extension. Our email address again, noco@kunc.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.